be live. I don't know if anybody's here yet. I'm going to load up and figure that out. Takes people normally a minute or so.
Yeah.
Uh, know your
So you just have to
experience.
do sing your own intro song.
Yeah. We want people to show up for the stream, not leave. So no singing tonight, at least from me. You're perfectly
Get
welcome to
get
try.
get uh get bearded in here to belt out a melody.
That would actually be cool, and I probably should have asked you. But I wanted to keep it down because actually I would like to have this as a somewhat of an ad for Printventory on my website or on my setup. I know I'm not sponsored by Printventory, but you know, um, I actually like the program, so I think it would be nice to support it. So, besides the fact you're a good person, I did find a few things that I didn't figure out in the system that I figure we might want to show people.
Sure.
Like on the settings, you have to add zip files to get it to work.
Yeah, you got to enable it because we could probably take that away now, but the original version it was so slow at scanning that when it hit a zip file, it just wasn't efficient. So not everybody wanted to do the zip thing. So the beta testers, we voted on it, and that's what they went with, is saying that have it optional until you go in there and enable it.
I
But
actually think you're better off the way you have it. It's just that it probably needs to be spelled out when
yeah,
people are downloading to make it more useful.
the quick
Because
start
I
guide
think
I
it's
think
just the art.
mentions it, but I should probably highlight it. So
I didn't see it, but reading instructions is cheating. So, that's optional. Uh, the way that I saw it, at least.
yeah, and I'm
I'm
also
just going
doing
straight.
a series of videos around it too, to kind of help people. So in the Discord, there's like a quick tip area that has like minute or 2 minute videos for a couple of different topics. So
It, it really wasn't, I don't think it was a flaw, but I thought it was something to point out in case
yeah,
for people downloading. Because a lot of people are like me and aren't going to read the instructions. You can download it and run it. I did have to download a bunch of files, so I don't have much. Welcome in NASA Trades and Giggy Jack. If he is, I think he was testing stuff earlier, so he may or may not be here. What we're doing today is discussing Printventory. I don't know if you're running your printer much anymore, but or here lately. We are talking about a program. Yes, we're getting a double dose, and people are welcome to join. I will post a link, but I'm going to try to keep it not totally bad advice tonight. We'll kind of switch it up and give good advice. Don't expect it every week. Uh, I was wanting to talk to Printventory. I did get a chance to ask the designer to come in here. People all know him anyway, Tech Cheaper. Essentially,
hello.
I'm going to get my screen up as well. You can share your screen as well on this app. That's one of the reasons I use this version. Let me see if I can do it here. Let's see here. There we go. One of the things I had the first problem when I was going to discuss it. We'll probably show it a few times on this because this is something I didn't see immediately until I looked at the instructions. For example, is you actually do have to go into tools. Wait, I remember forget where it was. Was it performance or
It's tools, settings. It's settings file types. If you're looking for the zip support,
okay, yeah, setting file type and enable zip support for doing it.
well,
Uh,
that's yeah. I mean, you don't have to. That allows you to inventory files that are inside of zip archives and be able to print directly from within zips. So because it's a newer feature, it's new in 2.0. Um, we didn't want to impact any performance and mess anybody's libraries up without them understanding what it was doing. So we made it opt in. So you got to go in there and enable that when you get in there. So
The other thing that I found useful when I was playing with this version, I don't know if just didn't use it in the other one, is a slicer path.
yep, yeah, that
I
was
went in
it.
and set that.
Yep, that was it. That was in version one, and like yeah, that basically that lets you define as many slicers as you want, and you can send the models directly to them. It works for most slicers. The only one that I found that it doesn't work with is 3D Builder because you can't pass it a file through a parameter if it's been installed through the Microsoft Store or whatever. But yeah, you could set up the main reason. The first reason we did that was because we had a couple of resin printers that they wanted to be able to select: do I send this to Lychee or do I send it to Orca or whatever? But I mean, I use it because I have my Snap Orca for my Snap Maker. I have my Bamboo Studio for my regular printers, and then I have Orca for my other printers. So it allows me to kind of pick and choose which printer I want to send it to. So it makes it easy. And then once you set them, once you right click on the file, you'll have a send a slicer, and it'll have the list of the ones that you've defined in there.
I do have that set up. But if I load Bamboo in my computer with our internet, it'll crash the stream. So we're not doing that. But and I've only set Bamboo up because this is not the computer I normally use to slice. In fact, you'll only see a few models here because I just downloaded some on here. But the one of the great things about this is you can actually search your inventory and print, which means that that's I wasn't using your other one apparently the potential. It makes it where we can just pop it in and hit slice and run. Great for any of us running print farms because, and I do like the fact you did the multiple slicers because I have found for my Creality machines, in my experience, when you slice it in Bamboo slicer, it's painfully slow versus if you slice it in Cura
Mm.
on the old Bamboo machine. I don't know if anybody else is running that or not, but it's actually a major difference with slicing Cura on my Creality CR10 Max, which I don't use often, versus slicing actually in Bamboo slicer. I've not tried Orca on that. Um, I wonder if Bamboo is slowing down other printers on their slicers. It's a theory, but uh, it is been my experience.
Yeah, I've never used a non Bamboo machine on Bamboo Studio because I usually launch into like Orca for that. But
That I haven't. I need to download Orca, but Orca doesn't seem to. Last I saw in the licensing, you couldn't run 9 Bamboo printers through Orca, and it looks like with the new stuff, it's an issue
oh really?
configuring it.
I've got like I don't have 9, but I didn't think there was a limitation through Orca.
Well, originally there was, and I never went back. I did see where somebody said you could, but they when they first came out, they said you couldn't do it. And then there became a thing on logins, and
Oh
it's
yeah, you yeah, because if you go through Orca, I don't think you can even today send it to. I think you can send it to the. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I would just stick with
it just
Bamboo
there
for.
wasn't a benefit to it.
Yeah,
Orca's not really better than Bamboo in my experience, the
no,
experience I had with it. So what was the point? You
yeah.
know, Bamboo is good enough. It's not, for those who are running it, I get it. Do whatever you want, but for me, it just there wasn't a benefit to moving to Orca. Because most of my printers are in the Bamboo ecosystem. The ones that aren't, you have to run an SD card over to them because I don't have them networked. I need to put was it or
Octoprint or something.
basically one of those Octoprint or something on it
Yeah.
on the ones that I've kept. But primarily they're running the same job over and over again, so it's not been an issue. So each one has their own. But I do like the option because at some point I'm going to leave the Bamboo ecosystem on the door, as you have. Maybe I'll get a snap maker at some point, or you one, or I probably. is the baby belt it's Octoprint, so it's networkable.
It's Clipper, yeah. Well, it's Clipper or Marlin, but I would recommend doing Clipper on it. So you have the Clipper interface, so you don't even have to have Octo at that point. You just send it straight to Clipper. It's got mainsail.
Which you can do via or not Octoprint, but Orca Slicer.
Orca, yeah, right. Pretty much any slate. Well, no, because for the baby belt, you wouldn't use Orca. You would use I use Idea Maker because it has to support belt printers. So your options
Oh,
right now are Idea Maker, um, some web-based slicer, and I don't think Kira like dropped support for belt printers or something like that. So basically, everybody just uses Idea Maker, which is actually not a bad slicer once you figure out how to use it. And it
at
has
one
by
time,
far
I
the
did make
most.
it was easily the best slicer on the market,
Yeah, and it has a
but
ton of belt printer settings. So we just load in the baby belt profile, and everything just kind of works. So
easily at one time, Idea Maker was the best slicer. I mean,
I
it
had
had
never
more
used it
control over the
until
supports.
yeah. I mean, it has all the
Idea
printers
still
listed in it,
thinks,
which is crazy. Like you could go in there and add a bamboo printer to it if you want to, but I don't know why you would. But
I think that they didn't keep up with the ease of the bamboo,
yeah, it's
but they
complicated.
had a
There's a
lot more
million
control.
settings. Yeah,
Yeah. And it was a pain to use and it took a while to learn, but it was um, technically it was the best printer or the best slicer once you got it configured, especially for mechanical items. Uh, we would use that for anything that wasn't fidget toys, which I mean, I moved primarily to that is what everybody sees me for. But
yeah.
it's still, I didn't. So we don't use Idea Maker anymore.
Yeah.
We kind of gave it up. Uh, we've got one vendor that runs primarily TPU prints because TPU, even with the Pogue tube that runs, just runs slowly. TPU loves slow, so
Yeah.
I run one ender for a new printer, and the CR10 Max is painfully slow. So if I have to have a big print, I run the CR10 Max until I can convert it. But that that was a nice feature on it.
So I have a question because I see you loaded yours in. I imagine you probably well, maybe not. So those models that are showing up there, did you download the 3MFs from like Maker World or whatever things or whatever?
Thanks
Okay.
on that, and it things does not seem to take the settings in.
That's what I was just about to
So there's
ask.
one
So I
thing.
was wondering. So I don't know enough about publishing and things like that, but I know that if you, uh, because we do go in there and pull the 3MF data, and it looks like they pull in the thumbnails because you can kind of you'll look at like the sloth, and if you hover over it, there'll be multiple thumbnails in there. So that's what those arrows are. But I'm wondering if there's a way to make I don't know how the because if you crack open, so let me share. If you crack open a
It doesn't pull the data that the other one does. If you were
yeah,
wondering.
so if you get it from Maker World, it has a bunch of information. So let me share this text file. So what I did is I extracted out your. It's actually the same one you have open there. I don't know if you can put my screen on yours or not, but you'll see that in there. This is inside of the 3MF file. So if you take a 3MF file and name it zip, you'll have a file in there called 3dmodel.model, and in there's usually a bunch of information about the design. Oh, that is not the model. Right there's the right model, and you'll see that there's this section here. So if you download a file from MakerWorld, this is usually populated with the description, designer, license, everything will be put in here. Title will be the name of the print and everything. I'm curious to know if there's a way to like manually populate that when you save a 3MF file like from Bamboo Studio or something. Um, yeah, because that's kind of weird. I noticed that from the when you
So, I think there's got to be a way. I'm
yeah
going to drop that back.
yeah that's fine.
But the
I was just
problem I
curious.
see with it, is I think that Thanks is probably stripping it out.
Yeah. Well, no, you're. I think what it is Bamboo's putting it in because when you save your file within Orca Slicer or within Bamboo Studio, there's not like a properties or anything, is there, that I've seen that lets you
Not that
actually
I'm aware of.
define that stuff? Yeah. So it's weird. Yeah.
Thank you for the raid, Pezlud. We did
Hello.
just
Thank you.
got a bunch of people in. I don't know. I know most people from Pezlud will know what make or print inventory is. That is the discussion for tonight. If anybody wants to join and ask any questions, you can. I don't think TechSouper is against it.
So I
But
guess it's probably so
we're
good.
not doing share what you're making tonight on my stream. I don't normally care. This is just dedicated to print inventory.
Yeah. So I guess that's probably one of the benefits for model designers to publishing to Maker World that I never really considered because even within Bamboo Studio, there's the project tab, and it looks like that information is pulled into the project tab within Bamboo Studio too, which you don't get if you upload that to any other Maker sites apparently, which is kind of interesting. I wonder
I
if
think
print,
they got it built into their ecosystem. There
yeah,
probably are populating it with the designer that uploads,
yeah.
which essentially is not means it's not going to secure the file or do anything as far as to
No, but if
for
somebody
the
stole
design.
that 3MF file from you and then pumped it into one of those, 1,000 STLs for $10 type thing, you'd be able to crack open that STL and see, hey, this was, it would have your information in there. Unless they might strip it out too, but I doubt it. Those
Uh,
people seem like they're pretty lazy. So
I would say they probably won't because most of them
yeah,
are lazy. I mean, there's no way you can keep track of 1,000 files in the first place.
yeah,
Um, I think we're close to 1,000 files uploaded if you count individual files, not just or print profiles. But that's taken us how many years to do? Nobody's gonna have 10,000 files that they've done and be selling it for $5. That's just not gonna
yeah,
happen.
yeah. I mean, those, yeah.
uh,
I just because it's kind of an interesting way
uh,
of being able to thumb to kind of thumbprint those or fingerprint those files that I never really realized existed.
yeah, you're right. If they wanted to work, it wouldn't be stealing.
Yeah,
Sorry, Tulsa. This is going to be the one good advice stream this month. It won't happen again. I am trying to dismiss as many of the ads as I can, so I did dismiss it. But because I tried to turn them off for this stream because I wanted it to be again dedicated. Uh, I've I've got the utmost respect for this program. We use it in our shop. This is not the computer I use it on, so I've got limited on this. But this is something we actually use. I didn't even have it set up properly until this version because when he released the 2.0, I hadn't been beta testing it or doing much with it. We had our stuff mind on our own stuff, projects we got going on. Yeah, I know it is. Typically is the place for bad advice. I normally don't take things seriously. This is just the one stream I think I've done where I'm actually trying to take it seriously. Uh, and we actually do run a print farm here. We do sell print. We go to shows. We deal with that. And so we are operating a 3D printing business. We have used the Printventory just to keep track so we don't download our files twice because I've got a tendency of going to things and downloading my own file, and you'll have 5 or 6 versions of it. That's what I was using Printventory for. You have 10 copies of the same file because, oh, well, I need to print these, so I go download it. And this is giving me the opportunity to have one and drop my disk space. We're not going to admit to how much, but we are talking a decent percentage of disk space for it because you get to, especially when I've got like I was in Pez's earlier and we were discussing the unicorn. Well, I've got 3 unicorns. uh, And when you search via the computer, I got all mine to say file name. It doesn't tell me which uniform it was. So, and it, I'm a lazy person, so I kept it all in my downloads directory. Basically means nothing. So yeah, it was a problem. Yeah, it took us a few weeks. The auto or delete the duplicates, especially in my case when I could re-download them, was a godsend. I mean, they just we clipped through it, and in fact, I bet I have duplicates on this. Just downloading, let me bring it up. Let's see. It's I bet
Yeah.
even on this, I'm gonna have duplicates.
Well, especially yeah, because there's and if you have okay, zip file is not enabled by default, but yeah, you'll see the deduplication there, which is cool. So you can actually go through and select the ones you want to clean up, and then click delete, and you can delete them out in one click, which is really nice. If you want to include ones that are in zip, so you can see where your dedupe or your duplicates are, you can do that. You can't delete ones that are in zip files, but it'll let you know, hey, I have an archived copy of this, which you can print to from within the tool. So do you really need, do you really need the extracted version? So um,
See, I mean, this is actually not a printing computer. I probably shared these files with somebody recently. Is the reason I downloaded it. In fact, I actually know where I did those, but these are duplicate files, and I've only used this for streaming. This is not our printing computer. There's some CAD work done on this one. This is not even my CAD computer. This is literally a streaming computer and what streaming on. So that's how many duplicates I got in just
yeah,
every day.
and it's duplicate by file hash. So when you first open it up, that little bar that went across was it calculating the hashes for the files. So it's not just going off of the file name. It's actually looking to see are they in fact identical files. So you can be
Right.
pretty
Well,
confident
it's
that they're
going to
going to
be
be
different file names
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
it's you're going to have a zip on it or these are the actual same file. Or the
yeah,
normally when you download it, you'll have like a one after it, or it'll change the file name if you duplicate. That's why you can't totally search even the computer and do this. But it's a useful program. Yes, it's standalone software. Uh, it
yeah.
is
The
a
models
free
stay on your
download for
computer. That's one of the main things that I get asked is this something that are you sending these models off? Are these models stored in a database anywhere? They're not sent off anywhere. They stay. You either run it on your computer or there's a server version now. So if you have a Docker container environment or something, you can if you have a NAS or something that supports Docker, you can deploy it on there, and then just scan for your files. And the models that you see there aren't actually stored in the database. They're just pointers back to the file on the file system. So you
it. It
don't have
doesn't
to
take
worry
up
about
much space.
yeah,
Now it is an app to where you can pin it to your start menu or your desktop. The computer we have it on is pinned basically down at the taskbar because again we're a print farm, so we run a lot of files,
yeah,
and it's easier to search for them.
yeah. The search is almost instant, which is I mean, kind of going back to the origin story, which I think most people in the chat have probably heard. But um, when I started working on this last year, it was about this time last year. I the day before I had been asked to if I could print some toys to donate to a local children's hospital, and so I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I went tried to find the ones I normally I do the fix them dude vehicles. So I wanted to find the fire trucks, and I know I had it. I'm like, I've printed this thing 100 times. I know I have it on there. I went to Windows search. It sat there and spun and spun and spun. Didn't find anything because it seems like Windows search is getting worse and worse every update. I mean, now you get ads in it, and you try to if I probably searched for fire truck now, I would get ads for actually buying fire trucks, which is terrible. Um, so then I was like, okay, I give up. So I went back out to Printables and re-downloaded it, and it downloaded as like Fix 'em Dude Fire Truck 6. I'm like, okay, there's six copies of this in my downloads directory, and I couldn't find one of them when I did a Windows search. So I went to bed,
It
woke up the
doesn't give
next.
you a program to answer the question that just popped up,
Uh,
but you should be able to scan an external drive. I have not tested that yet.
Oh yeah, you can do
Um,
external. Yeah, you can do any directory. You can do as many directories as you want. You just have to scan each one of them. You can install it on any location, and there is the server mode now, and there's the Docker mode now. So if you wanted to, like I said, install it, if you wanted to install it centrally, and then you access it through a web browser. Um, so if you want, and at that point, you could theoretically even pull it up like on your phone and stuff like that to search for files and see what you have. And you wouldn't be able to slice to it because there's not really any mobile slicers right now. But that is the capability you can centralize it. So I would recommend starting with just installing it on your computer because the server and the Docker modes are still experimental. We're working through some bugs with it. It's brand new. But yeah, just install it. Click scan directory. You pick your path that you want to scan. It goes out there, pulls all the files in, renders the thumbnails, goes through and generates the hashes and everything for deduplication, and then you're ready to go. You can set underneath of settings, so that same place that we looked at the file type menu, you can go in there and set your STL home directory. And what that will do is if you have a folder, like mine's my downloads directory, but you have a folder that you put all of your 3D models in, you can set that as STL home, and then when you start up the application, it will automatically check for changes in that directory. So you
you're
can,
as bad as me where you leave them all in the download folder.
yeah. I mean, that's all. I'm lazy, and it's even worse now because not only are they all in downloads directories, but now that everything over the past seems like over the past year, everything gets downloaded as a zip. So I have the downloads directory, I have all the zip files in there, and then I have the extracted files in my downloads directory. So it's a nightmare. So, um, but yeah, being able to
That
print
was my
directly from the
problem.
zip
I
is
left
great.
them all in the
Yeah,
download folder. It's like, oh, well, I'll just go get it again. And the downloads folder got to where it sucks, so I
yeah,
turned off the pictures and
yeah,
just have it file named. Well, that kind of messes everything up
yeah,
when you're searching
yeah. And I mean,
because
that's the other thing that people ask me that I get often when I first started. They're like, "Well, Windows browser does this by default, and there's a Mac extension that will let you see the STLs." But what it doesn't do is the advanced tagging and metadata and being able to do searching and things like that, or being able to do filtering on based on that. So once you import your library in, um, the first thing you're going to want to do is start setting the values. So each model has a parent, which is like the parent model. You can use it however you want. We don't control how you use it, but how that's designed to be used is like if you go out there and get like your bumblebee that has the bee, it has the hive, it has multiple parts that are incorporated into it. The parent model would be like the built over bot bee, and then all of the models that are under that would be underneath of you would associate them to that parent model. Or like me, when I just built my baby belt printer, I downloaded the GitHub, pointed Printventory at it, made everything in there the parent model, and then as I went through and printed the parts out, I was able to just mark them as printed and keep track of them. But there's also designer, there's license. So if you know, I basically the way I use license, you can get as granular as you want, but the way I do license is I have commercial license. If I know I have commercial rights to it, I'll go in there and mark it as commercial for license type, so I know I can sell it if I want to. Um, and then there's tagging, and then there's a notes field as well. But tagging allows you to put any additional information that you want to associate with that, as well as other models in there. So if you wanted to do fidgets or if you wanted to do toys and tag them all as toys, you can do that. And then the notes field is just a plain text field that you can put anything in there. So if you want to put print settings, if you want to put notes around your printing, for my HueForge models, I put my description.txt file in there, which has the layer changes and stuff like that, so I don't have to go hunt for that when I go to print them. Um, Tagging is a fun one because we can do AI tagging now. Well, we could do AI tagging in version 1, but now we have the ability to kind of quickly set up AI tagging. So if you go into settings, you go to AI tagging, you can set up either you can set up OpenAI, you can set up Gemini, you can set up your own custom LLM, or you can pick one that's called pewter.com, which is a free OpenAI endpoint that when you go to click it, it kind of just asks you, are you a robot? You say no, and then it kind of sets an account up for you. I don't know how, I still haven't figured out
Gives
the
that a chance.
limitations for that, but yeah, you can see.
Definition is computer.
Yep,
That this is my flaw. That's the tags it just generated.
yep,
Not was actually pretty good. I
yeah,
did
and
that
then
as
you
a
can go.
reference model.
Yep, and then you can go through and you can uncheck ones. You can check ones that you want to check, and then you apply the selected tags. And in the tag settings, you can define how detailed you want to make the tags or how generic you want to make the tags, and then how many tags do you want it to generate. So there's a lot of different tunes you can make. But if you're just downloading this for the first time, hop into the AI tagging section underneath settings. If you don't have Gemini or if you don't have OpenAI, select pewter.com, click the test button, and then click the save button, and you can start doing the AI tagging. You can select one. So you can select one model, or you can go in there and select multiple models, and you can generate the tags on them. And then you go through the list and just pick which ones you want to apply, and then apply the tags. Tulsa Skin said, "What types of files does it look for?" You right now we look for STLs, we look for STLs, 3MF files, and we look for zips, and then we look inside of a zip to see if it has either one of those two models in it. If it's an STL, it renders the file model image like you see there on the duck that's in the corner. Or if it's a 3MF file, we look inside of the 3MF file for any thumbnails that exists and any additional metadata that's in there, and we pull those in. We have had discussions around additional file types, like OBJ files, G code files, SVGs. There's a whole list like step files and all that stuff. I'll probably end up enabling those. It'll be an opt-in thing underneath the file type, knowing that in most cases we won't be able to render an automatic generated thumbnail for it. So you'll just have kind of a placeholder image until you go to add an image for it. So like step, there's no library out there today to generate a model from a step file through a browser, through the browser technology or whatever. So you'll be able to maybe even you can select what you want to inventory at that point, I guess. And then I don't know how useful it will be assign pictures to it if you want to. So if you're working on models, you could link them up or whatever. But so yeah, right now it's primarily STLs and 3MF files.
Have you got any further, like on the Blender and step files?
Those, like I said, those are the ones that are going to just be generic thumbnails until you add your own image to it. So we're talking about that in there. There's a discussion in Discord around what we want to enable, and basically it'll be opt-in. You'll go up to your file types menu, and there'll be a bunch of different check marks. And if you want to bring in object files, it'll probably just have a little generic placeholder square that says OBJ. Because that's another one. Object files. When I was researching it, you have to basically load up a full renderer. So we'd have to have it would not be efficient to load them in. But yeah, if
A
you're
lot of those are going to be advanced users anyway.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
talking designers that are going to be
yeah.
running that stuff.
So I think like the way I would see that being used is if you had like an OBJ or a step file or a Blender file, you would load it in, and it would probably be under the same parent model as the STL or 3MF file. So that way, if you've loaded that parent model as a filter, you could say, okay, well, here's my 3MF, here's my STL for that model, here's the object file, here's the step file, here's the Blender file. So that way they're kind of all in there. And then you right click on it, and it'll open it up in your, whatever your
Now that
default
would be really cool.
application is for that. So what's
Uh,
that?
I would love that where we
Yeah.
have a Blender file of that, so we could actually go in and modify it for somebody.
Yeah, so
Uh,
kind of would keep them all together because right now on your system they're probably all in different locations. But if you could tag them with the same parent model, then you can bring them together and visualize them in one spot. So that's something that's coming. I just kind of have to figure out. Right now, I'm focused on getting the Docker and server versions in parity with the desktop version because I didn't realize how many people wanted that. Um, so getting that
Technically, I
figured
see
out.
that
So
as probably a more useful for everybody
yeah,
file, the server especially. Uh, but that and the server version is going to be useful for designers. We're going to end up with an NAS server.
yeah, yeah. So what you would do is you would just point you would run most like Synology systems and things like that on RAID. Let you launch Docker containers right on the NAS environment, and then that's what most people are doing. And then they just point the system at their file system, and they can access it from any computer. They can download the models from the NAS, even if they don't have that network shared path. They can launch it directly into a slicer, which downloads it temporarily and loads it into the slicer, and all of those different things that we would that kind of make it more efficient. So
Yeah, I see that. Even technically, it'd be nice for like Blender files if I could make a centralized network for
yeah, it would be. I mean,
downloads.
once we get past that, and we add the additional content. It would be uh,
You're looking at just
again,
file, uh, and I get why you're not doing it now. You're adding complexity to it,
yeah,
but you're just basically adding file types that it scans.
yeah.
It doesn't
During the
open
scan
loop.
process, it would basically open up the scan query that I do to say, if you want to enable OBJ, look for zip files, STL, F3MF, and OBJs, and um, but
And
you don't
that
want to
work
just do
and
that all by
workflows will.
default because it's going to be you're just kind of replicating a file system then. So kind of want to filter it down and let people pick and choose what they want to pull in. So
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the files, OBJ, Blender files, step files. OBJ less so because I think there are some 3D printing files that are primarily OBJ.
yeah,
I've not used it myself, other than when I'm transferring from one program to the other. But to each their own. But typically, you're looking at designers again. We're looking at the high end or the advanced stuff. Uh,
yeah. And then I mean, there's also there's a whole
I think
list
you have
of
to
different
pay
model.
Windows for that, Ken. Unfortunately, I think I did see somewhere where if enough people say it's a good file, that Windows will let it go. But
Part of that, and we just had this discussion today in Discord as well. Part of the fact is that it's an untrusted installer because it doesn't have an application certificate. So Windows says, "Hey, this is not a trusted developer," and Mac OS even makes you jump through a lot more hoops to get it to work. And people say, when are we going to get a software license for that? Or not a software license, a software certificate for that. Software certificates run anywhere from $200 to $250 a year, and I'm not making money on this. So, and the way I look at it, if you go out there and download Orca right now from GitHub, you hit the same exact issue. Um, you have to go through and trust the provider. So usually just giving instructions to say, click accept or go through and jump in, trust the providers or whatever is the I'm not unless I start
you have
getting
to
a
look
lot
at
more
it like we're getting
Patreon
a school
support.
program for free.
Yeah,
You
unless I start
know,
getting a lot more Patreon support and stuff like that. I mean, everything I've made from it so far has went back into it. So, getting I think getting promotional materials made or doing a little bit of marketing around it. The very little that I've made through like affiliate links and Patreon has kind of went right back into the project. So, but yeah,
yeah. So
that's
go
an
hit them up
unfortunate
for
thing.
Printventory maker chips to the show, so you can take all that marketing budget back from them.
Well, yeah, I had stickers last year and they went over really well at Murph, but I'll probably do maker chips this year. Um, I
I'll
do
be
have a
in line at
Printventory
Murph for
maker
maker
chip. I
chips.
just, yeah, I tested them. I gave somebody, I think there was like 200 or 250 of them that went to Rocky Mountain last year, and that's the only event I think that I've had. No, I've had them at Murph too. Yeah, I do have some Printventory maker chips. So I got to do some more of those for shows this year. But
I'd seen one, but I not in person, but I'd seen one. Yeah, the
yeah,
streaming. You know, I've In fact, I've only got two people, I think, make her chip. So yours and which detects people when I use in the photo, and Sigaretti, I think, for some reason, the only ones I have. This will be my first show. Murph will be my first show.
That'd be a good time. Um,
But yeah, I understand everybody's complaint as far as that because it is frustrating.
yeah.
But we also can we expect tech people to lose money on a program for us?
If anybody
You
wants to give
know,
me money for a software cert, donations are open. So, um, but just remember that it's every year. So you only give me enough for 1 year. It's only going to be valid for 1 year. But no, it is what it is. Like I said, the reason why I don't put more emphasis behind it is because I went to install Orca on uh, my my Mac OS test system, just so I could set up make sure that the slicer settings all worked and stuff like that. And they had me step through the same things as I give instructions to. So I'm like, if Orca is a larger project than I am, and I guarantee they're actually getting more donations than I am, and they're still not worrying about software certificates, then I'm not really too concerned about it.
I've seen some major companies I've downloaded software from that are making considerably more money than you are. You know, that don't have software certificates. You know,
Yeah,
where everybody around's paying hundreds of dollars for licensing. Uh, so yeah, it's and per year because we have some custom software that we have to pay for industry
yeah.
wise in my business. So yeah, I
It's
get
kind
it.
of. I mean, I understand, and I understand where they're coming from the Mac side. Because they basically want everything to go through the Mac store, and in order to, and Microsoft's heading that way too. Um, and if you want to publish your application on the Windows Store, you have to have software certificates and all that stuff as well. Um, so they're just trying to make it as difficult as possible for people to make their own applications, so that way they can curate the.
So they can make money
Pro-
on every sale.
yeah.
I mean, which is
Well,
real.
yeah.
That's why they want to
Let
build it.
spend less money on support. Spend less money on support from people that called because their system got hacked or they got ransomware because they downloaded a random file from the internet and trusted it and installed it. So
The reality is, you could actually get a certificate and then still make a virus.
yeah, yeah, it's just it lessens the chance because somebody's not going to likely spend, and then the certificate can be revoked as soon as you figure out it's being used for notorious purposes. But
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you that, but
yeah,
I just highly doubt that it's
it's not
actually
stopping
used
anybody.
in. Yeah. So, and besides, most of that stuff is from like an email
Yeah.
or yeah, it's not from software as much as people think. Now, some of the software sites that are sketchy, like don't download antique programs from just random sites on the internet because they do add things to them. But it is what it is. Uh, but I worked in IT for a short bit, removing viruses and telling people not to download files. I got sick of it because I was telling people not to do stupid things. So, and I know you still work in that industry. I don't think you do any support though, do you? Uh,
Uh, kind of, sort of, but it's a different kind of customer support. So it's more at an enterprise level. So I don't deal with like end users.
I worked when I did it, I was at a casino or working for schools as a consultant typically. Was the two major ones. I did do an auto factory, but that was as close to end users. The casino was the worst. That was that was horrible. But
Couldn't
it was
imagine.
literally telling people don't execute this cute little file on the internet. Don't do the stupid thing that you know, but you know better.
Yeah, I mean, no,
Type
that's
thing.
that's that's basically what infosec is nowadays. Is you can't the attackers go off of the weak point, and the weak point is the people, and you can't secure. It's impossible to secure people. You can do all the training in the world for infosec training, and people will still click that link if they think it's an urgent email from their manager's manager. So
Well, they would actually click the link if they thought it was a cute video on.
Well, not yeah. Now it's shifted to. I got a text message a few weeks back that was from the that was supposedly from the CEO of our company, asking me. He was said it's urgent. I'm in a meeting. We're getting ready. We're what do you say? We're at after lunch. I want to do a giveaway. I need you to go buy me a $250 Apple gift card and send me the code. And it came from. It looked like it came from that. But then I instantly realized he's not going to ask me. I'm 15 levels underneath of him. He's not going to come to me and ask me for a gift card. But it was really funny. And then after that, a couple other people got hit with it too. It was kind of funny. But so when I
Uh,
we still joke about it. Where if I get called into a meeting with them, or if I'm in a meeting with them, I'll still say you owe me for that Apple gift card still. um,
uh, I mean, somebody will do it. I bet
yeah.
I would not be
Oh yeah,
shocked if
yeah.
somebody did it.
Especially if you think, hey, if I was a little bit higher level up and I was more closely aligned to him, there, and if I didn't have, if my spidey senses wouldn't have tingled, I could see somebody saying, well, here's a good chance to get in good with the CEO. I'm going to go out there and because he does customer meetings like all the time, so it's not uncommon for him to be in there, and I could see him saying, hey, we want to do something after break for these people. So whoever was putting on the campaign kind of knew a lot about what was going on, which is, it's kind of probably standard operating um, for companies,
You'd be
but
shocked at what you could. I mean, well, you no,
yeah,
actually, you wouldn't be, but some people would be shocked at how much used to be on the internet. I'm finding it's harder to do.
uh,
It's not as easy as it
well, I
once
mean, all of
was.
that.
Um,
If you're looking at companies, all that stuff is publicly. Well, if you're a public company, if you're a publicly traded company, all that stuff is published anyways. So it's not hard to
well,
go
it's
to.
not like it's not as easy to find information about any individual person as it
Yeah,
used to be. Like at one time, that would have been easy to find on the internet. I don't think I'm quite as easy as I used to be to find, but
no,
I'm
just
not
your
far
wife
behind.
on YouTube
Yeah.
dancing in Yoshi costume. No, yeah,
Uh,
that's
that was you were the only one to find that I know of. I think you shared it, but I don't think that
no.
even has any
I don't think I've ever
frequency.
sent the link to anybody else but you. So,
Okay.
uh, but no,
That is uh, that one was definitely. I'm surprised you found it. I'm
so
utterly surprised.
in middle school, I took it was the first year they offered it. There was a class called Research Internet and PowerPoint, which was teaching you how to do Microsoft Word, basically teaching you how to use like the very first version of Microsoft or PowerPoint, and then how to use search queries, which is like back then it wasn't even Google. I think we were using like Ask Jeeves, but Ask Jeeves you could write search queries out in the text fields. And as soon as I found out, hey, I can search for anything and find anything I want, I can do anything that I want to with my life as long as I have a computer in front of me. So it's like if you know how to find
Not
it, it's
wrong,
there.
but the fact of it is, there's so much on the internet,
Yeah,
and that has no ties to it. So I'm so
yeah,
shocked you found it. I know I'd given you enough information to go looking
yeah,
for it, but I'm utterly shocked you found that. That
it's
probably took
fun.
you a minute or so. At
Yeah, we
least I
do.
would hope so.
We do. I go to a security event every year, cybersecurity event, and we usually every year we participate in the um, open source intelligence competition, which is basically using non-paid solutions to answer. Like they give you like questions about people, and you have to go through there and find use the internet to find the information um, without paying for anything or anything like that. So it's kind of fun. It's a kind of a hobby of mine to not cyber stalk, but just find information when people ask about things. So
Sandy's actually quite talented at it, but we didn't even know where that file or that video was. Honestly, I wasn't even totally sure it existed still when I made a joke about it. Because I bet that was posted in 2010, realistically. Uh, I don't even know where it is now, but I think that Yoshi video was 2010. Uh,
Yep, he'll have to. Still waiting for it to come back though. Um,
the Yoshi video.
no,
You,
the Yoshi
you should have had
costume.
her getting that costume today for you, just so you can come over and say hi.
Um, so I mean, going back to Printventory, one of the other things that I get asked a lot, and I did a short video about it the other day, but I tried to if there's an audience because it seems like people jump in and kind of wonder when they first get started is if you already have a if you already have an organized library. So if you're unlike me and don't just drop everything into the downloads directory, but if you already have an organized library and you organize it maybe by designer or by project, so if you have like your Voron parts into a folder, or you have your you know Nerf blaster components in a folder and things like that, people ask how do I use this information to translate that into organizing my models. And the best way that I've found for doing that is to use the search field. So the search field is a global search field. It searches for the model name, it searches for the model directory, so the entire directory path, as well as any of the metadata that you've associated with that model. So going back to the example of Baby Belt, because that's the one that's most fresh in my mind and that's what I've used it for most recently. What I did is I loaded it up, scanned my download directory. In my download directory, I had the GitHub files that were in there. And then all I did is go to the search field, type in Baby Belt, hit Control A to select all the models, and then I went down and set the parent model to Baby Belt. So you can do that with Designer. Like if you had all your built over bot models in one folder, you just scan your directory, go in there, search for built over bot or whatever that string is that's in your directory path. Select all, set the value, and you're done. Um, we have looked at different ways of automating that, um, and people have been like, well, give us the ability to write a regex expression or something that parses the directory path out. That just seems too complicated for most people. There might be like three people that would go in there and actually use that to set their designer and things like that. Um, I want to look and see about using AI, maybe that free AI service that we're using for the general tagging, and maybe give it the path and see if it's a little bit more intelligent. I would love to have it be able to go out to the model sites and pull the information down automatically. That was the original intent of the source field, but Maker World things, um, printables all have really strong anti-bot now. So if you go out there and look at like the source, so if you right click and inspect source on one of the model sites, the amount of obfuscated code that's there, like if you go to a built over bot model on things and look at the source code on it, you'll see like a random seeded designer that isn't built over bot. You'll see fake licensing information. They do that so that way people can't skim their system and download files. So creating those free STL directories. But I also think it's an attempt to break things like Yegi and all of the global search things that are out there. So that makes it difficult. What I'm working on to solve that is still really early in testing, but eventually maybe having a browser extension. So with Chrome extensions, you can say only activate this Chrome extension if you're on these domains. So I could do Maker World things and so on and so forth. And so if you go out to one of those model sites and download a model, I can actually have it automatically add that model to Printventory with all of the metadata associated with it.
They would have to have that browser extension
Yeah,
in.
you'd have to have the browser extension running, and when you go to download it, it would just automatically do it. But that's kind of one of the things that I'm possibly looking at because Chrome extensions work across Chrome and Edge and things like that now. So might be something coming up to make that a little bit easier. Um, so it's just kind of is what it is. But um, yeah, so that's kind of the approach that I would take when you're getting started. If you have any organization, use it to your advantage. Use that search bar to your advantage, and then um, once you start having the models in there, then it makes it really easy. If you add a new model, um, when you load the app up, if you add a new model and it's in that STL home, it pops up and says, hey, we found one new model. Would you like to see it now? You click yes, it takes you to it, and you could set that information right from within there if you wanted to at that point once you're going forward. So it's just that initial kind of overload of how do I get started. It seems like it would be a daunting task. But no, I mean, you could go in there, not even do any of the metadata um, for your models and still be able to do searches and things like that, because again, it searches that full path. So there are
To be
people out there
honest,
that I know that don't do any tagging on any of their stuff, and they just use the search for most of the time. Um,
to be honest, we
that's
hadn't been. We were basically just using it for search.
yeah.
Is
I use
the
it for search and for
primary.
tracking what I've printed. So um, being able
I
to
use
mark
that,
them as printed.
that is a good feature, especially if you're uh, downloading random files because you don't know if the file's printable. You know, okay,
Yeah.
do I
Well, I
need to
mean, but
watch
even
this
but
file?
even if you're doing a project, I mean, if you're doing a kick kiln project that has 13 different pieces or whatever, or if you're doing, like I said, the baby belt, or when I did my RC, when I did that 3D build, that 3D kits Jeep last year. Um, Before that, when I had a big project, I would load all the files in the slicer, and then I would put them onto a new plate as I print them and as I complete them. So that way I kind of track which ones are printed. But now I just go in there, load the file up, send it to Slicer, mark it as printed when it's done. Put if the part require at the beginning of the project, if the part requires you know non PLA parts, or you need to print this in ASA, you need to print this in PLA, you need to print this in PETG. I put all of that stuff in the notes fields, so as I go through it, it's all right there at my fingertips, and that's kind of how I work projects now. Um, so
Yeah, I'm one of the simpler ones. We don't have very many files that take multiple plates. Even. I think one or two. Yeah, sorry, Viking. I didn't mean to rip everybody off, but I tried to set it up with sounds and it didn't work. So we had to punt just to get it to where he could hear me. Uh, but I'm working all my audio issues out. Multi-person streaming is still an issue for it.
um, so yeah, I guess
I
that.
guess
Sorry, good.
who's the plumbing man? Hard grind plumbing. I was not be familiar
Oh,
with them.
grind. You've never seen Grind Hard Plumbing on YouTube?
I'm not sure. I don't think I
They
have.
they do a bunch of like the Barbie Jeep builds, and his most recent one was like a chopper with like a motorcycle with like 40. The one that's on the hat's a chopper with I think 48-inch tires or 52-inch tires or something like that. And then they just built a
Oh,
trike that has a tractor wheel in the front that he sits inside of. So they do a bunch of cool builds on YouTube. So that's what the hat's from. That's what somebody spotted.
it sounded like something I'd watch, but I'm not. I got into Twitch. But that's pretty much all I watch anymore. I'm
Really
not into
entertaining because they go deep into the builds. Like they show they'll show them cutting, actually designing CAD. They do some 3D printing stuff now. It's kind of neat. So,
So it's not like the TV shows where they you can tell they're building trash,
oh no,
you
no,
know,
yeah,
and acting like it's this great build in the world, you know. Um, I, I watch those for fun every once in a while when I'm going to sleep.
American
Oh,
Chopper.
we're the greatest car builder ever. Yeah, I wouldn't drive in that thing.
Um,
But I sorry, I had never heard of them.
yeah, they're
We do
kind of
have an ad
interesting.
in 2 minutes. Again, I tried to turn the ads off. We are ad free on YouTube. If anybody wants to go there. And for anybody that has not seen it, it'll make protect cheaper.
Yeah, and if there's any questions, I mean, we kind of covered a lot of what's going on. I mean, the basic flow, if you go out there and download it today, the basic flow would be download it, open it up, point it to your wherever you keep your model, 3D models. You can do it at a high level, and it'll recurse through the files and find them all. And then once it's in your library, um, start organizing them. Start setting the parent models for the ones you want to set it at. Set up set up AI tagging and start tagging stuff with things like that. And then going from there. There's the deduplication feature, which is probably the most value added component because it lets you really clean up your models and clean up your disk space quickly and easily. So, go in there, run dedupe. There's a feature in there that will let you randomly select a model. So if you filter down by, if you're like, I don't know what to print, if you're facing print block or you have a model or you have a printer that's running idle, like, what do I want to throw at this printer? You could go in there and click the print roulette button, and that will kind of jump around and select a random model for you to print. Just fun things like that. And then, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the core component of it.
Decided to make an evil print roulette on this one. Print one of those on your printer. Unless you
Yeah,
got a U1 that's a painful one.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I
I'm
get. Yeah,
proud of it.
my wife stole mine, but that was my first print on my U1 was the Blue Jay.
I think I've got one around here somewhere, but we haven't used the U1. We have to do plates of them because
Yeah.
the waste on that thing is insane for what? For one. Everything we do is pretty much designed for plates, other than the large dragons. Uh, yeah,
I did see Piled
the new
ask
one
what
it
the
posted is brutal.
yeah Piled did ask what features will be next. So right now we're kind of solidifying the server and Docker build feature, or the Docker and the server build to kind of match parity and get it up and running. Um, the next thing I want to work on is probably going to be the next immediate thing I'll work on will be the added file type support more than likely. So just being able to, if you want to inventory those additional files, because that's a pretty easy one, that should be relatively simple to enable. And then after that, revisit the kind of the browser extension feature that I kind of talked about, um, to make that a little bit easier. But everything,
Is that going to be a new
um,
version, or
what's
are you
that?
going to just? Is that going to be like Printventory 3.0, or
I don't know. It depends on how difficult it is, I guess. It might just be a add-on to the existing one because the Windows one is easy, or not. I just have to. I've never built a browser extension before, so I need to dig into that a little bit more and figure out exactly. I built the kind of a Hello World one, and I was able to see, hey, this does trigger on these sites, but I'm wondering if I'm going to hit the same error or the same issues that I hit with trying to scrape the model sites when I get to that point. So it would be interesting to see, because I don't know if it'll have direct access to that information or if it's going to come back and give me the false information again. Because I don't want to publish anything that's not going to give you 100% reliable information. There's a few people have sent me like GitHub projects for like a Maker World scraper app that's on GitHub, and a things API, like an unofficial things API. But when I tested them, they worked 80% of the time, but I don't want to throw something out there and have it mistag or misclassify a model. So I'd rather just not do it if it's not going to be 100%. But all
you
of
went through a
the
lot of problems with somebody? I mean,
yeah, and all of the feature requests, especially when it comes down to things like licensing, that's probably the one that gives me the most cause. Is I would love to be able to pull in licensing and populate that automatically so people can rely on that to figure out what models they can sell. But I would hate for that to be misclassified, and then they go out there and they start selling models they think they have rights to and they don't really have rights to. But all of the features,
a problem.
yeah, all of the features that I've added to it from day one. So, like I said, the initial version of this was just basically a glorified spreadsheet that I could quickly search. And once I started talking to people, people were like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." So I started putting a little bit more time into it and building it out into something that I'd be comfortable sharing. But everything that's been added to it, the AI tagging, um, the thumbnail generation, basically everything you see on the screen today has been driven by people's requests and ideas in the Discord. So when you go to the website at the bottom, there's a Discord link, and in there's an idea farming section, and there's a troubleshooting section. And if you want to be on the bleeding edge of things, you just let me know, and I can add you to the beta section. But everything that we've pretty much done gets driven off of the demand of the users. I'm not in there if I don't think anybody's going to use it. So if you have any good
Essentially,
ideas
it's
or if you
all
have any
scope creep.
enhancements, what's that?
So it's all scope creep.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Um,
basically. Well, I mean, there's no scope creep if there's no scope. That's part of the reason why I don't charge for it. So if I charged for it, it would be a job. Um, I could. Yeah, I've had people say, "Hey, you could probably, sell this app, sell the product, and whatever, kind of take like the Hugh Forge approach or something like that." But then I would be obligated to support this thing forever. And not saying I'm not going to support it forever, but there was a time over the summer where I had to take a break. So after version one went out, I decided to look at the code because I wasn't quite happy with how I originally built it, kind of monolithic, because it just kept growing and growing and growing. And I wanted to publish it to GitHub as an open source project. So I spent like months going through and cleaning all of the code up and refactoring a bunch of stuff. And all it did is just break a ton of stuff. And the beta testers were like extremely patient with me because I would be like, "Oh, this version is completely unusable," that type of thing. So I took like a couple of months and I didn't look at it at all. So luckily that was around the same time when K2 Kevin was like, "Hey, you want to work on a maker chip app?" And I was like, "Sure." So that was a good breakaway, a mental breakaway. But if I was charging for it, I would have felt more obligated to continue to work on it. And it would probably be a little more stressful. It's fun. It's fun for me. I'm doing this because it's fun. I'm not a developer. I'm not a developer by trade for a reason. Is because it would take all of the enjoyment out of what I do. So
like personally, as much as I don't want to pay for it, I mean, I get that.
yeah,
I don't think when people pay for a software an affordable price,
no,
if you're charging by the year, I can see the support
yeah,
issues. But if you are charging like one time fee and that's it, they get what they get the program as it's available,
yeah,
not the extra features.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah. You just I would expect a certain level of ongoing development if I was charging for it. But I mean, right now, I mean, there's a couple of people. There's a handful of people that are on the Patreon, which I think I have like starting at like $1 or $2 a month or whatever. Um, and then I've been really fortunate. People use I've had I went out and both talked with companies and I've had companies approach me and say, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We would love for you to set up an affiliate program," which before that I kind of just figured affiliate programs were just for influencers and things like that. But um, the affiliate programs are a really good way of supporting the project without spending any additional money. So if you go to printventory.com, there's a support tab, and underneath there's all of the affiliate programs that we have. So I have a Polymaker affiliate, I have a Snapmaker affiliate. Uh, um, Prusa is the one that actually kind of reached out and said, "Hey, you should. This would be a great way of setting that up." Um, and so there's a handful of companies where if you're shopping with them already, you can use that, and then I get like 50 cents back or whatever. So it's not crazy, but um, it's a good way to support it. So, um, and then there is some merchandise if you want to buy a shirt or whatever. And then there's the pay, like I said, the Patreon or buy me a coffee and things like that. So, and then there's also on the Discord, there's a list of affiliates too, which is probably more updated than that list, honestly. But I do have like
where is
less
it?
3D affiliates and stuff like that. So,
Are you talking about Discord?
uh,
I'm right now up here.
yeah, I mean, I tend to keep the Discord update more than the website, but it looks like I did add like the Snapmaker one, which was I think the one that was missing on the website for a
We
while.
can
So
buy inventory merch.
yep. There's hats and stuff like that. I think it was Do Flunky bought a he asked me if I could add a white one because he's going to do a tie dye shirt, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. He bought one of the white Printventory shirts and he's going to do it tie dye, so it's going to look cool. Um,
For those who want absolutely have to have a inventory beanie, it is available.
Probably the most valuable one, the one that I've made, the one that's been the biggest supporter so far has been the Snapmaker one, and I think that's because that kind of came out in an opportune time. Snapmaker reached out and said, "Hey, and they actually reached out on the Printventory TikTok, or not TikTok, the Printventory Twitter page. Blanye messaged me and said, "Hey, we'd love to get you to set up as an affiliate, and we'll give your users 5%. So if you go out there and buy a U1 right now and use the code Printventory 5 or whatever it is at checkout, you can get 5% off. And again, I get like $2 or whatever from it. So it's not a crazy amount, but it saves you a little bit of money, which is nice. I always like those ones. Um, but
Hey,
I
if
mean,
it helps somebody and doesn't hurt
yeah,
the user, I suggest using codes because
yeah,
support the people that are working on products for you.
yeah.
It's
I
not
mean,
like when I say
I
support the designer,
yeah, and
getting
I mean,
back something back to them.
yeah, and if you're like, I don't know, like the influencer thing, if you're watching a lot of Twitch and things like that, and they have Polymaker codes or Polymaker affiliates and stuff like that. Definitely, you leverage them because that's part of what makes it worth doing what they're doing. So I
Yeah, a
know
lot
I
of
know
times,
people
yeah,
give a lot of
it's
flack about
fun.
affiliate links, but
I mean, I'm starting to use them well, for one thing, on Amazon, it hides
yeah,
your location, which I'm not. I know some people know exactly where I live. You're one of them. But,
it's because I've
you
sent you
know,
stuff though, so it's worth it. I didn't track you down for that one.
actually, no, I think you were there when I shared it one time.
No,
Anyway, so, but it, I'm going to share or post my actual address on our
yeah,
profile or
yeah,
something. That's not going to be a secret.
but
It just, for a lot of people, that is one way to hide your address. And again, it doesn't cost them anything. It's not like it raises the price.
correct. Yeah,
So if I can make a couple bucks to buy some electronics to do another project, I figure
yeah.
no harm.
Well, especially like if you're publishing projects that require you to go out to if it requires you to go out to like Amazon and buy stuff. If you make a project like you had that levitation project and you've had the lighted dragon or the lit up dragons that use the induction charging, if you're sharing those links in your maker world or your things or whatever profiles for that print, and you're not using an affiliate link, then all you're doing is just giving free money back to Amazon. If you can make a couple of bucks from it because people are buying it anyways, then you know
Yeah. Nobody ever owes me anything for as far as like streaming or technically even our design. Unless you're selling them, I don't think that people owe us money unless they're making. In then case, in that case, they owe us a membership. That we should get a portion of our work, you know. And I think all designers think that way because we can't charge you enough to make it as a designer for a file. You wouldn't pay, you know. And most people don't realize how long these designs take. Uh, it's one of those things where I don't think anybody will understand until they do it. But programming is the same deal. You can write this program for me. That's weeks of work, you
yeah.
know. That's more than a file design. But
Well, I mean,
it,
what you're looking at, what we were just looking at, was a year's, a year in the making. So yeah, takes time. And I mean, there are, and you can the beta testers and and I think you're in the group too. You can contest that there'll be days when you'll get like 4 or 5 pings of new versions that have been pushed as we kind of iterate through them. So, but like I said, I wouldn't be
yeah,
working on it if it wasn't fun. So I learn every time I do something, I learn something. So that's kind of that continued education.
I just turned the things back on because you were going through a while when it was literally 10 times a day. It was a pain, and I just didn't
Yeah, when we're getting close to a release, it's a lot more frequent. So
yeah, I'm being honest, I turned off the things for a little bit because
yeah,
it was getting quite a bit. I wasn't in a position to where I could beta test 2.0 anyway. We've been tied up. We've had to reorganize our entire business and redo everything to open the makerspace up. So it's I think it would have been easier if I had bought a building and opened a makerspace in it versus taking a retail store and moving everything around to open a makerspace in it. We've been dealing with that. So I didn't get a chance to do the
Yeah, it's fine. I
membership.
mean, yeah, it is what it.
I get the memberships can be confusing. It always will be. Uh, I'm not a personally. I'm not a fan. You will not see us have two different names. You will see us add files with a different spin on it. Sandy and I have each posted files where we haven't worked together on it, and we have different design styles. So, like in our case, your membership gets my files and my wife's files. So, as I publish things, it will be under the same membership. The only thing that won't be on the membership and it'll be free files like this here. Sorry, is coming out next week. It is a lockpick set, 3D printed. It's cosplay stuff. But since it's got Vault Tech on it, it's going to be a free file. It's not going to be a paid, not in our membership. So we can't give you rights to color.
It's
Now,
not
the
a.
tech cheaper version I'm publishing, you can.
It's not a working lockpick set. That's disappointing.
Uh, it, you can make it a working lockpick set, and I thought about making instructions on how to do that. But because the picks would work
Yeah,
if you
I've
cut
used
them in a
I've
metal.
used a 3D printed pick before. It's one of my other hobbies.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about using a 3D printed pick. I'm afraid they'll break, but technically the picks would work. I'm just not sure
Yeah,
I
it
would
did.
use them.
It yeah, it didn't. Actually, I guess it was a rake. It was the one that I was using was a 3D printed rake. It wasn't a pick, but it
Oh,
did
so you're
work. I was
looking at,
surprised.
actually, I don't know what happened to my rate. Uh, but yeah,
But I've also done like
the,
bump key blanks, and 3D printing is really good for that because you can actually it'll actually imprint the pin, so you can take it down and then file it. So if you because PLA is so soft, if you push it in and you wiggle it, you can actually see where the pins are. So.
twisting or the torsion bar, I don't know that I would use 3D printing and expect it to work, but you know,
Anything will work once. I mean, people 3D print keys and they work as long as you don't go crazy on them. So.
uh, I've I thought about which I'm not sure if I'm gonna publish it or not either, but we worked on a casting setup, or I did, to where it would imprint the key and then cast it with woods metal. I don't know if you've seen that setup, but we were going to release that file, but I was just playing.
No, I bet you. I mean, but I bet you could. So I know there's things out there where you can actually take pictures. That's why you never share a picture of your house key or anything, because there's things out there where you can take a picture of a key and turn it into a 3D model object. But I bet you if you did it out of like protopasta or something like that, it'd be rigid enough to last longer than one time. But
Uh, uh, the casting with woods metal, where you take silly putty and you cast it and you
yeah,
make a blank, that would actually work for a few times, but um, I'm not sure I'm going to release the file or not. Uh,
yeah, that's
really
getting
playing.
more into the shady territory.
Yes.
So
Was
what
it
is the lockpick set that you have? Is it just are they just does it actually have picks in it that are just plastic or is it just the case?
right now? What's in it are the metal ones because I
Yeah,
was making sure it fit.
that's what I was
But
gonna
the
say is you can get those metal picks on Amazon for like $1, like for an entire set
yeah,
of like starter picks. Um,
and that's
and
what
that's
it's
what
actually designed to hold. But I also included some 3D printed pics. It's literally just it's a prop.
yeah.
Somebody came up with, in fact, he's probably in here. Yeah, he is. Dank Think Tank was having a little contest, and I was just in the mood to play. It's cold, it's miserable outside, so I figured I'd sit down and play with it. So I made a file for it. We'll upload it next week. I still have to print the picks I made, uh, which are modeled after common picks. It's not like it that I invented a lock pick, and couldn't
Yeah,
claim that. In fact, I didn't invent this. Uh, it's a little bit cleaner version. You buy those business card picks.
yeah.
It's basically a little more sturdy version of that. This one actually locks closed, which will keep the picks a little bit nicer. Uh, Remember that Jeep I sent you? I put that on one of them. That's why I said you'd fight because it's the tech Jeeper one that I was going to post because I knew you were into lock picking.
Yeah.
So I made one that said tech Jeeper I was going to upload. But because my first stream, I think I went into yours, you were lock picking a lot.
Hmm.
Uh,
Haven't done that in a
the
while. I
first
need
time I
to
played
do it
stream.
again. I helped lock picking companies. I helped them design a 3D printed. I helped them design a handle using 3D printing that they went and got. Ended up once we got it figured out, they went and got injection molded. So that's kind of an interesting process to see.
I thought about doing one. I seen it on the internet somewhere where a guy had a fidget one when I was researching picks to where it looked like a neat little feature where the pick was the slide in the handle and uh, they're using it like a fidget toy,
Oh, that'd be cool.
but
Yeah.
the torsion bar came out of the handle and then the pick would just slide out like
Hmm.
one of those little knives or you used to have where it pop out the end like not a switchblade but one of those
Yeah.
flipping bars.
The I don't have it here with me, but the Sparrow's lockpick has a could they call it the I don't know what they call it, but it's like a little multi tool that has all of the lockpicks. It's almost like a knife thing, but then the torsion bar there's like a spring loaded thing where it pops out. And yeah, that's like fidgety. Keep pressing it in, but it's all aluminum
And
or
this was
whatever.
only going to have like one pick in it, which I guess technically that's what
That's all
most
you
people
need.
probably use.
Yeah.
Um, but it would slide out and be rigid on it or flip closed and just have a little torsion bar. It looked like they used to have them in the 80s, little knives where you had a little bar and you flipped it over. It wasn't a switchblade, but it came out of the end like that. So I was playing with that design a little bit. But yeah, redeems, I had to turn them off because I couldn't get the audio working. No, it wasn't a butterfly, although that would actually be a neat lockpick set, to be perfectly honest. That would be more fidgety.
I have one that I 3D printed out of it's one of the fidget butterflies that I printed out of the protopasta iron. So it has a nice weight to it. It's actually kind of fun to mess around with.
But
Satisfying.
not done. Still got half a roll of protopost. I need to use it before it goes bad. The iron stuff because we were rusting it. We made the rats where they rusted for rusting rats. We did some of those.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot with the brass. So that's I don't know if you can see it, but that's the brass that I put into a rock tumbler. So I printed the brass bead out and then I put it into a rock tumbler overnight with some medium, with some just actually it was just washers, and it actually shined up on it. But I've been doing a couple of different things with the brass stuff. Um,
I noticed you were doing a lot of knife work,
yeah, the knife
and I
stab.
saw the glass work on that.
Yeah, that's
Andy
well,
wants to do that so bad.
the glass bead stuff has been. So we took a class like it was probably what was last month. It was, no, it was there. Was it? Probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. We took a class at the local makerspace for doing glass beadwork, which you just use a torch. You use a torch and um, these glass rods that have like a fairly low melting point. It's not borosilicate because that has to use the argon gas or
Acetylene.
whatever. But yeah, basically you just take these mandrels that have this like ceramic coating on them, and you melt the glass and you create the beads, and then you let it dry and they pop off. So we just got the kit for that a couple of days ago. So I've done a couple of different. It's funny the ones we did at the makerspace. Um, Out of the 4 people in our group, only one had a successful like where they could get it off of the mandrel because I don't know what we were doing wrong. Actually, I think I know what we were doing wrong. I think they had the bead release, which is the ceramic stuff, way too thin. So it basically just scorched off when you were trying to get it to go, and so they just fused to the metal. So like I broke my beads that I made during that. So, but when we got back, my wife, I was like, I was determined to make one. So I ended up just going and buying the kit, which comes with like the clamp for the table and the torch part. And you basically just had to buy the map disc at that point. Um, but it's been fun. I'm learning. All of the ones that I made so far, I've only broke one of them. So just I don't know. It's just another hobby that I don't need to have. Uh,
I understand that Sandy's not listening, or she'd probably be wanting glass bead kits, which I
the
can
kit wasn't that bad.
respect.
I think it came with everything you needed, and I think it was only like all I had to do is buy. Well, I bought the map gas, and then it came with safety glasses. But a lot of people that I was reading about for if you're doing any type of glass work or if you're doing any type of firework, they have these special glasses that prevent solar burn because you're looking at like a flaming ball of glass essentially, and you can actually burn your retinas. So the glasses that I bought were almost the same price as the kit. So I think they were like I think they were like $70 or something like that. But I figure if I'm going to do it, I'm going to protect my eyes, and I don't want to go blind from doing it. So um,
Um, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, and when you heat glass, I think it's hot thing. I've
yeah,
done it on stuff.
and when you're only a foot away from it, and you're staring at this ball, and you can't without the glasses. It's just a like blinding bright glowing ball. At least with the glasses, it cuts down. I know. I think it's like kind of in between a welding shield and like regular safety glasses or whatever. Probably in the term of filtering. Um,
I wonder if it's
but
basically a like a plasma
I don't know.
glass
They're
too.
blue. They had a name for them, but and there's different ones. Like you could get like really expensive ones. Like if you were doing, um, again, if you were doing the higher temperature glass, or if you were doing glass blowing. Um, but those ones are actually glass. These are just polycarbonate, and they're a certain filtering technology. But yeah, it's a fairly
I was
low effort. I
wondering.
mean, I think altogether probably $200 into everything you need to make it. Start making the beads, and they give you a DVD with it too, which nobody has a DVD player anymore, so it's kind of pointless. But it's, all the information's online. I don't. I just have been watching YouTube videos.
But someday maybe. Right now we got to get home before I get any more
Yeah.
hobbies.
It would be something that I
But
think would be cool. Like when we did it at the maker space, and they have like a jewelry area there, so it's kind of incorporated into that. Um, so
I used to
yeah,
do jewelry, so I can actually see that popping back up because that'd be more of an interest to the wife. We
yeah.
have the beads, we have all that. We got where she made clay beads and that sort of aspect. So the glass, definitely, I can see coming back in.
And if you have a kiln, it's a kind of a multi-purpose thing too. Because with the beads that I'm doing, you don't need a kiln because you can cool you slow cool them with there's basically two there. It's like it's like a fiberglass blanket, but it's some other type of fiber that you put them between as they cool down. But if you're doing some of the bigger glasswork stuff, you're supposed to put it in a kiln to bring them down to temperature so they don't shatter. Um, but they
I
also
do have a
do.
kiln.
Our makerspace also does stained glass, so they take the leftover pieces from the stained glass and they create the frit that you can like roll the beads into. So it's kind of a shared, using the waste from one area to make stuff in another area is kind of neat.
I actually wanted to do stained glass, but you're looking at leading in a lot of cases, and it's not
Yeah.
the
Well,
best
so
for
there's
health.
stained glass and there's glass fusion too, which is like melting the glass pieces together, where you're not soldering pieces in. I've done a bunch of different glass fusion classes, where you basically there's like a burn off adhesive, and you put down the pieces, or you put them into a piece of ceramic, and then they bake them, and the glass fuses through the heat. That's kind of that same thing.
Now that would be more interesting to me,
Yeah.
but the the stained glass, I just and to really do it well, you end up with like a water jet. That's not cheap.
I don't know. I've seen some pretty incredible things come out of hand. If you know what you're doing and you have a good hand cutter, you can cut some pretty precise pieces in class. It's an art, but
He really
you
does
score it and
windows
you
and
break it.
mirrors, and he could do some amazing stained glass work. I've not seen it in years,
Yeah,
but he used to do mirrors for $1 million places where he would cut and make art pieces out of them, and they'd sell them through the shop. Um, every year he hand cut like a mirror. One of the things with slaves, he sold tons of them at the shop. You just take a piece. The dude can't draw a stick figure, but you give him a glass cutter and he can cut anything you can find. But and right out of high school, he used to do all that. But yeah, I never liked the idea of the letting, to be
yeah,
perfectly honest.
yeah. I don't know what
Uh,
they. I've never actually done the stained glass, so I don't know. I know that they do use like a soldering type thing, but I don't know if there's anything that's safer than what.
I think there is stuff that is safer, just what I had always seen.
Yeah,
So, unfortunately, we have about 15, 20 minutes, and I think you were at your limit for tonight.
yeah. I got
And
to
if
get
you want
jumping pretty soon. So if anybody else has any questions or anything, anything else you want to see, like I said, I appreciate the invite to come on and talk about it. And, um,
Well, as I
just
said, it's a program we use. It's now I'd like to think of you as a friend, but it is a program that I would support realistically, no matter who gave it, especially at the price point it is. I mean, can't argue with the price. Welcome in Westerly and Retro Philonex. I don't know if I'd seen you earlier.
well, you'd be surprised on the people who have complained about the price, especially on Reddit.
Oh, well, I know about the rigged giveaway
No,
thread, but people could complain about anything. I
yeah,
actually
oh,
thought that was
absolutely.
funny though. I do think there is. I'm not going to say there's truth to the Reddit thread, but I do think there is truth to people give away, do giveaways in a political manner
Well,
so
I
that
mean,
they can
it's
pick the winner.
the giveaway thing. If they if there was actually a follow up post to that where somebody actually went and did um, like an analysis on the giveaways that particular thread was talking about, and some of them only had 5 people entering it. So it's statistics at that point. If company if you're entering, like I enter a lot of giveaways just because it's usually companies that I already follow and companies that already have all my information, so I don't care. If I see BTT, or say if I see Snapmaker, or if I see Polymaker throw up a giveaway or something like that, I'm going to enter it just to both show them that the interest is there from the community. Because if they get a giveaway and if they do a marketing something like that and they get 5 people show up or 5 people contribute, they're probably not going to invest any more time into that in the future. But also just the chance of getting stuff. But
Well,
yeah,
when I won the CR10 Max from the Sangus contest. One thing I never told people, I was the only one to enter.
yeah.
They had
Well, I
5 methods
mean,
of winning it and 5 printers.
yeah,
So I came up with the conclusion that what they were going to do is each method was going to win, or they're going to give away a prize.
yeah.
So I went and created a Twitter account and checked to see who all had entered. And it was like a week before the end of the contest. Nobody had entered via Twitter. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I won.
yeah. I mean, that's like that. That's basically in that same Reddit post there was comments of because I had won filament from Snapmaker with Woohoo. I won a couple of rolls of filament from them, but they made a big deal about it. And if you looked at what the requirements were to enter that, it was create a share to social media a video of a Christmas item printed on your Snapmaker printer. And a lot of what was entered were people that were printing stuff, but it wasn't on a SnapMaker. So I mean, if they're looking at it, technically they weren't following the rules. But I actually took time and recorded a video. It was actually your ornament, the Maker Chick ornament. But I took a time lapse of the printer being printed, took some pictures of it on the tree, edited together, put it out there. So it's like, you know, there is
Five
time.
people
It's
followed
just
the
not.
instructions. You got 1 in 5 chance of
Yeah,
winning. You
exactly.
know,
So it's
uh, kind of like when I did it. One person entered via Twitter, and
yeah,
suddenly I win. I don't know, coincidence? No. Um, on the Thanks contest, it was upload a file to Thanks and post it to social media. And every social media thing had been done except for Twitter. So we went and entered on Twitter. I think that's why we won. You know, it's because when we searched for that tag and followed the instructions, nobody had entered that method. And this was years ago. But that's how I found out about things. Technically, was contributing to that.
yeah, and I mean,
This would have been
yeah,
before everybody heard about us.
yeah,
You know,
and I yeah, I mean that whole post was stupid, but I felt more bad about like the companies that were getting attacked, like LDO getting caught, people saying, "Oh, I've been buying from LDO for years, and I can't believe they would do something like this." And it's like they're not doing anything. Stop running companies' names through the mud that are LDO. LDO does tons of giveaways, and it's like
I don't think
if
that
I were,
the 3D printing companies are doing it, but I will say
yeah,
I know companies do it
yeah.
to where they'll do a giveaway and then they'll do political stuff on that. Now, I hate to put it this way, I don't think any of the 3D printing companies are thinking that far ahead. I think they're just we'll
Well,
give
that
it
it,
away and then we'll give a little bit extra to the whoever they want to anyway.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of
Uh,
risk to be had too. What people don't realize is if they were truly colluding like that, there's a lot of, and those are all global companies basically. There's a lot of legal ramifications that could be had where that's actually like a huge offense. The United States isn't so much that way, but in some companies they take giveaways and lotteries and things like that very, very, very seriously. So I don't think it would be worth it
yeah,
for them to do, to risk their business to give away 4 spools of filament. It's like,
yeah. I mean, and besides, the people, nobody's going to rig a contest before full film. Let's
yeah.
just be real. Um,
It was just funny. I
Most of
laughed.
these
I laughed
companies,
about it. I was not mad at all, but it was like just ridiculous.
uh, well, they were talking about you.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was fun. It was funny to wake up and get like messaging out of messaging of people being like, "What's going on here?" And I'd like people at work be like, "Isn't this you?" It's like, oh my god, it's on the front page of Reddit. It's like,
I made it to the front page.
yeah, that post got to the front page because it got so popular at one point. It had a lot of, yeah, it was funny.
Now I heard about it, but I don't go to Reddit. We don't post to Reddit. I
I
don't
I
go.
I I don't do it much anymore. And as soon as I saw that I was tagged on Reddit, I'm like, oh great, what now? So it's like,
But I do have a Reddit account. You don't even have to. You don't have to be logged in to even see it. So I do
no,
get that aspect.
yeah,
Yeah, I did think it was funny. I didn't know what the things were. I've I've seen small companies give away stuff, but anybody of note like LTT, Snapmaker.
yeah,
I know you've done business. You've got an affiliate.
yeah.
You know people at Snapmaker, but realistically, the people who are doing the giveaway don't know who you
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the other thing. The Snapmaker one was dumb because somebody, again, it goes back to somebody had actually messaged me, and it was almost like a threat. And they're like, "I found a post where you had won a printer, 8 months ago on Snapmaker," and it's like, "We know that you're, you must be an insider and all this stuff." And I'm like, that was the same exact scenario for that one. I did a fully edited video, and the requirements were it had to be made on a Snapmaker with Polymaker filament. And it's like, so like there was, the pool was so small to win that, and it was just like they gave away headlight, and it wasn't even the grand prize. That's the stupid thing is that if people would look, if they were colluding and I was getting stuff for them,
I thought you won
it,
filament on that too.
that was a uh, one of their base level. one of their base level artisans or whatever it was. It wasn't their big one, but it was. I won a printer from them, and I gave it to my son because I had just gotten the artisan set up. So it was like shortly after
Okay.
I got the Snapmaker. This was the
So it
SM
was a
250
CNC
or
still.
whatever it was, the multi tool, their base multi tool model. So
Are you still happy with the Snapmaker? I guess
yeah,
you should probably say
I
yes.
use it for I. It's not. I mean, it's not a great 3D. Are you talking about the U1 or the Artisan?
I know the U1's
The
the
U1's
feeling of the
awesome. The
printer.
Artisan, I probably won't print with it unless I need to do 400 by 400 print size beds, because it isn't the. I mean, it. You have to do manual Z offset and all that stuff. It's a pain in the butt to print with. But right now it's set up for the rotary for laser, and that's probably what I'll use it for 90% of the time.
I wanted one because or at one time because I wanted the rotary, then a laser, because I thought you could
Yeah.
carve.
Yep.
You could
So as
keep
a
it
CNC
centered.
rotary too. Yeah.
Yeah, you could carve like a coin and then bake powder in it. It was actually what I wanted to try. Where you put powder or some powder coating in it,
I
powder in it.
actually have a box that I have a. It's funny you mentioned that because I actually just found it yesterday. One of the local laser supply places, the guy was testing out powder coating with lasers, and he sent me a box of random powder coat samples to try on it, and I never did, but I need to try that because yeah,
Yeah,
you basically
basically,
engrave over it.
yeah, and then bake the powder.
Yeah. Well, it
Essentially,
bakes it with
it'll
yeah. The
work.
laser bakes it. Yeah. So the laser
It
heats it
will
up and
work.
bakes it.
But using both on the same machine, I think it would make it a little bit easier because you don't have to chuck the item in. You change
Yeah.
the. You're still gonna have offsets. You're still gonna have issues, but it's
The
gonna be
late
less than if you moved it.
the laser and the CNC for that thing is just it's so much easier than any other thing that I've used. Um, as far as getting the focal height and getting the calibration and everything. So that's probably what I'll use it for most. It is basically a CNC machine that can print versus being a printer that's also a laser like the bamboos are. I mean, the thing is like way overbuilt. I never want to move it because it's massive. It's where it's living, and it'll probably live there till the day we move out of this house, if that ever happens. Because I'm not about to move it because it's like, yeah, it's got its home and
I
it's
mean,
staying there.
it would have to be to run the CNC router or
Yeah.
spindle. I wouldn't do metal on it myself, but
I've
it
done
looks a
metal
little
on
bit
it.
weak for that.
No, I actually done it
Um,
fine. It was aluminum, but it handled it pretty well.
I wouldn't. I'm talking about I wouldn't do tool steel,
Yeah, yeah,
like you would a
no,
mill.
but it also
But
doesn't have a water system, so it doesn't have cooling. So it's not you don't have anything clearing the chips away from the. You wouldn't want to do anything like that. Yeah, it's all just air.
uh, you're looking at aluminum, brass.
Yeah.
Probably that's about it with it. But it still looks like a good machine. I would recommend it for what it is. But I agree, it's probably a lot of work to switch it over from printing to
I can get it
laser.
switched. I can get
Uh,
tools switched out in about 10 minutes, probably, if that. It's not hard. Actually, probably quicker than that. But then once if you switch from CNC back to 3D printing, the switching the components, changing the bed out, changing the tool head out is quick. But if you're doing like IDEX, because it has two heads, if you want to do IDEX, you have to run Z offset calibration. Then you run the extruder offset calibration to make sure the multi-color pieces are lined up right. So there's like a two-step calibration process that takes a little bit of time because you're printing, prints an actual like calibration piece. So
I'm going to snooze the ads because we're probably going to raid out here in a minute. I agreed with Tech Cheaper as far as well, for one thing, to get it to stream on YouTube and Twitch, I had to cut the stream down to 2 hours. And that's also long enough to get a guest speaker on for a single run. So, and I do appreciate him stopping in for
yeah, thanks for
Printventory.
having me. Can't wait
I'm
to meet up at Murph's. I'm just waiting for the dates. So that'd be a good time.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
you
that.
still haven't seen anything permanent on that?
No, they're. I talked with them last week, and they're still working on the dates from. They're waiting to hear back about availability from the campground. Was the last thing I heard. So I'm sure it'll be around the same time frame, but I think they have to coordinate with 4-H, and then they also make sure that I think the campground's available because a lot of people camp there. So
As soon as you find out, I'll put that on my calendar because I have committed to going to Murph. It's the only show we're going to, well, the only show we're committed to this year. So look forward to seeing people there.
yep,
Possibly the only
and
show we'll go to.
yeah, and I'll probably have Printventory set up there again like I did last year. And I think I'm planning on going to Murph, setting up a table, and then the wife wants to go to Philadelphia for rep for East Coast, but I won't have a table there. It'll just be visiting. And we'll probably make a trip like do some other stuff in that area because we've never been out there. So
We have thought about it because her sister lives there, and it'd be fun if we have the extra money this year. We'll
yeah,
go that
Philanux. It's
route.
in Goshen, Indiana. So it's a great time. There's a lot of hate about Murph, but everybody that complains about the heat or the humidity or the just the atmosphere also come back and say I wouldn't miss it for anything. So it's like it is what it is. But
Yeah,
you kind of know what you're getting into when you go to it, and it's kind of laid back and formal, and it's it's the only one that I'll set up a table at because it is informal. I don't sell. I don't take it. I don't take this. I don't. I'm not an influencer. I don't really have anything to showcase that's important enough to be stuck at a table all weekend. Like if I were to go to 3D Printopia or if I were to go to Murph and set up a table, you're stuck there. I would rather be able to be up and socialing around, and with Murph you can do that. You can leave your table and nobody's going to mess with you. So
Plus, I'll just set up a table next to me and I'll just watch it for you.
well, that's what we do. We basically have normally we'll get like a few people together and we'll watch each other's tables. And Murph is so big, if somebody comes up and wants to meet you, I can yell out, "Hey, Bob, somebody's here to meet you," and you can hear it because you're just on the other side of the 4-H barn. So it's like,
Realistically, the way it looked when people were walking around, there's so many people you're around that you know
yeah,
that
yeah,
you could walk away and there'll be somebody else they want to meet down a couple
yeah,
feet away
correct.
anyway. So who cares? You know? Yeah, Bob would, or I don't think too many people are going to come say that they want to meet me
Oh,
to
you'd be
interact.
surprised. The number of people that I think there was a lot of people last year that asked. Was it last year that I had your maker chips, or was it the year before? It was the year before.
Yeah.
But yeah, when people saw your maker chips, there's a lot of people that were like, "Is he here?" So I think you'd be
Uh,
surprised how many people want to meet you. So
I'm sorry for we will be there, or I will be. I'm still trying in some ways to talk Sandy into joining us, but that's debatable. Uh, okay, we are at the end of my streaming time,
sounds good.
so on the program, it's going to crash anyway.
All
So why don't I give a rate out?
right.
Is
I
anybody
appreciate
on?
it. Again, printventory.com. There's a Discord link. Click there, join the Discord. Provide any feedback, provide any issues. Reach out to me, whatever. I appreciate you having me on here and looking
Do
forward
you want
to.
me to add that Discord to the Tech Cheaper or basically
Nah,
the
just keep
shout
the
out?
Printventory website. It doesn't matter.
It's got your website and Printventory's website.
Okay, that works.
Okay, I don't have anybody 3D printing. Does anybody know of somebody that's 3D printing on here? Uh,
Uh,
because I have
let's see.
right now I'm looking at rating either Jiggy Jack or George or Cruise Control Bacon.
Yeah, I don't think I have any.
Is Steven in?
Look, I think he's probably just. Yeah, it looks like Giggy Jack's even gaming, but
I get that, but at least I think we're gonna rate Jiggy Jack tonight.
sounds good. Yeah, it works.
So you
Well, cool. Well, I
don't know who Jiggy
appreciate.
Jack is? He's an artist.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Take
Have
a
a good night.
chance. All right, have a good one if you're stepping out. Have a good take a chance to talk to him. He is a 3D printer and a designer. He has a few designs published, so we are going to go ahead and rate him. And thank you very much for joining us. I'm glad you could. I know it's probably snowing up there. So you're probably snowed in, aren't you?
No, it would take a lot for me to get snowed in. So
I can barely open the front door. It's actually high enough to. I'm pushing snow to open the door.
you got more snow than us then.
We're wheelchair accessible from the front door, so
Ah,
that's probably part of it. But everybody have a good night and say hi to Giggy if you would.
see ya.
Broadcast.